Okay, we are live. What's up, everyone? How we doing? Friday, December 20th, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when we're cruising in here at everyone. How we doing? This is the final live of 2024, and this will be the final live until the second week of January. I also think that I don't know what my plan will be with these lives in the new year, whether I potentially might just bring it down to one live a week rather than two. I'm going to kind of sit with that over the holidays, but this is all just to say that this is the final live for 2024. So the next time that we'll be going live on here will be the week of January 6th. So the second week of January. So yeah, I appreciate all of you guys who have sat in and watched these and interacted with these and shared these and been a part of these for we've been doing these live since the end of July. So what's that? We've been doing these lives for exactly 5 months. So it's been a great way to kind of have a new avenue, a new way to sort of interact with people. And so I appreciate anyone who has come across these lives and interact with them and listen to them or found use from them. Again, if you guys get value from these lives, I would love it for you guys to subscribe to my channel, to like this video, to subscribe so that you can be notified when I'm dropping other content, just like this. So even if I do start to do less lives, even if I bring it down to one live in the new year, there'll still be other content that will be dropping. So there'll be lots of content for you guys to be able to watch and sort of check out. So anyways, I appreciate you guys being here and wishing everyone a happy holidays ahead. December 20th. It's crazy. As you get older, I feel like Christmas just holds less and less significance, that it feels less and less like Christmas every single year you get older. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but what are we? We're 5 days away from Christmas, and like it hasn't even, small way started to feel like Christmas. But yeah, I love the family dinners and that sort of shit. But I find as you get older, it's like Christmas it's like, holy shit, it's Christmas. I didn't even know. You know what I mean? Anyways, I don't know how you guys feel. I don't know if you guys are big Christmas people or Hanukkah or whatever you guys celebrate, but wishing you guys a great holidays ahead before we sort of launch into the video. Today's video here, again, if you guys have any sort of final questions or anything you wish to say, feel free to interact in the chat section of this video to, any questions, anything you want to ask me before I kind of move out of this space for a little while, just for a couple of weeks. Again, I'm probably going to be launching a few YouTube videos over the break, but this is going to be the last live content until the second week of January. So, okay, sweet. So today we're going to be talking about the heart of the higher self. And so first off, might be like, okay, like what is the heart of the higher self? So what we're sort of getting at is a heart chakra that is completely open, a heart chakra that is really, really aligned and it is in resonance with the rest of the body. Where your heart chakra, ultimately what it is that it's totally aligned with source. That your heart chakra is totally aligned with source. The openness, that the integration of the heart is totally aligned with God and source. I think there's this great tragedy in life where so often how we wish to show up, how we want to show up, and what actually ends up manufacturing and happening in reality is so far away from what the higher self actually wants. The things that we wish to say, maybe the admiration that we care to wish to someone, maybe the acknowledgement that we want to give, the vulnerability that we want to bring forward, that we're not able to bring this forward. It's the great tragedy of the human existence that, people go on in their lives and end up dying with so much in their hearts that they weren't able to bring forward. This is sort of the work that we're trying to get to, a level of the integration of our heart where we can actually say what we want to say, and be able to give and receive love in the ways that our higher self, our godly self, wishes that we could give and receive love. I always talk about it like this, that we're thinking about the highest intention of love. Think about, we have the highest intention of love, which is ultimately, if we were to channel and we were to embody sort of God's love, what would that look like? If you were to embody God's love of the highest possible intention, what would that look like? How would you show up in your relationships? How would you come forward? How would you operate? How would you say that you're sorry? How would you take accountability? How would you give acknowledgement and show reverence to other people if you were in the highest possible self in terms of your heart? If your heart was in the highest possible vibration of yourself, how would you show up lovingly? How would you show up as love inside of yourself? How would you give and receive love? We think about the highest intention of love. It's that we want everyone to be able to win. We want everyone to be able to move into a total embodiment of love inside of themselves, that we wish everyone well. Think about how often our own shit gets in the way. Think about how often our own shit gets in the way. Our own trauma, our own pain, our own ego. Think about how often that gets in the way of how we want to love, of how we want to show up. We hold on to resentments, which is essentially toxicity that is feeding into us from the inside. When you hold on to resentments, you're holding on to toxicity that is feeding in you like a fucking rat in a sewer inside of yourself. It's feeding off of you because we're too proud to say that I'm sorry. We're too proud to take personal accountability and responsibility. We're not able to move in the highest intention of love, which is how we really want to show up. Which is how we really want to show up. But we have a block in our heart. We have a block in our heart. So we compartmentalize. Our heart is not integrated with the rest of us. It's not embodied with the rest of us. And so we're not able to move into the highest intention of love. So what happens is we go on and there are things left unsaid. We need to allow, and this is important, but we need to allow our life to humble us. You need to allow God and Spirit to humble you. When God and Spirit humbles you, what He is saying is that I need you to open your heart. There's something inside of you that I need you to open to. When we get humbled, what it really means is there is some sort of disconnect between the highest intention of God's will and what's open in our heart and how we're able to show up in matters of the heart. And so when we get humbled, when we get brought to our knees, when we're forced to completely surrender, what God is saying and what Spirit is saying is that your heart needs to open. Your heart is closed in this way, and I have brought you this situation so that you can open your heart. And so that it can merge and it can integrate with the rest of you. But think about what happens when we have the opportunity, and this is what's been happening this year, 2024, as we're moving to the end, as we feel like we've been sort of in this initiation with our deepest unworthiness coming up. For those of you who are watching this, think about the unworthiness that you've had brought up, the shame, the guilt. Think about that unworthiness, that sort of raw piece inside of you. You are being brought to the deepest layers and levels of your exposure. You are being brought to the deepest layers and levels of your exposure. How much will you reveal? The reason why all this unworthiness is happening, the reason why all this unworthiness has been brought up inside of you is, can you move and open your own heart? Can you move and open your own heart? The reason why you've been brought to your knees and had to sit in these tormented feelings and this shame and this guilt for the past 6 months, the reason why this portal has come is your heart is trying to merge with the vibration of your destiny. Your heart is trying to merge with the vibration of your higher self. Can you open your heart fully? Can you be in a space where you can literally operate with the intention of source, with the intention of spirit? And can your heart, can it match the vibration of source? Can this match the level of hindsight as source and God? Think about how often we hold on to bitter resentments. We stand off. We don't allow other people to win. We're too proud. We hold too much ego. What happens? Our heart never really fucking opens. It never really opens. Your heart never really opens when this is the case. And that feeds in you from the inside. That feeds in you. And what it does is it brings up regret. You end up regretting things. Your unworthiness, your internal unworthiness is being brought up so that you can open your fucking heart. So that you can open your heart with this pure, primal ferocity in your being. Where you can have everything revealed inside of you. All this unworthiness, it's plucking. Where is our heart not aligned with God? Where is our heart not aligned with source? Think about how many times people stay over here because they're too fucking proud. They're too fucking proud to fully open their vulnerability, to fully open their transparency. When you can open your heart in a way that is aligned with the highest intention. What happens so often with people is we have what happens in reality, and we have the intention of the godly self, the intention of the higher self, what we ultimately desire in our heart of hearts. If we were to embody the purity and truth of spirit up here, if we were to be in this space, but our human shit gets in the way. Our human shit gets in the way. And we can't close the gap. We can't close the gap. We're never able to open and integrate the heart with the higher self. And when this is the case, our human shit gets in the way of what we ultimately desire. And your unworthiness is the bridge. Your unworthiness is the bridge. So what has to happen is your unworthiness is trying to humble you. Your unworthiness is trying to humble you. And what it is saying is, can you be gentle to yourself? Your unworthiness is trying to humble you. And what it's saying is, can you be gentle to yourself? Can you be gentle to yourself? And if you're gentle to yourself, you soften. There's a softening that takes place. What happens is people begin to come up to this. People begin to come up to this. And what do? They get malicious. They attack. They hurt. Their pride gets in the way. Their ego gets in the way. They don't want to look bad. They don't want to be seen as a work in progress. They don't want to be seen as wounded and flawed. They don't want to be seen in a certain way. So when that unworthiness comes, they can't soften. They can't soften. This is where regret comes from. This is where resentment builds like a literal fucking disease inside of us. This is where you live in judgment of yourself. And when you live in judgment of yourself, you live in judgment of other people. People who judge themselves the most are looking at other people. They're looking all around them, looking for the ways in which other people are fucked up. They're looking for the ways that other people are wrong, all because they can't contact what's inside of them. They can't open what's inside of them. They're living in judgment of themselves. They can't soften. And when we can't soften, we're cutting. We're cutting. We're polarizing to a point. Doesn't mean being polarizing is not a strength or a virtue, but being polarizing without the heart, the energy feels cutting. The energy feels cutting and it feels abrasive. And so when unworthiness comes, Spirit is asking, can you be humble? Can you be humble? Let it kill you. Let it kill you. Let it decimate you. Let it destroy you. And what happens is there's a death that comes here and we think it's the end of times, but it's actually the beginning of your freedom. It's actually the beginning of your freedom. But we got to get run over. We got to be humble. And what happens, you guys, as we allow ourselves to be humbled, we allow the unworthiness to come. Maybe we have an association that this is weak, that we're a fucking pussy, but you allow it to take you out. Now what begins to rise like a phoenix ashes from the fire within you, from that internal tenderness, is a primal fucking warrior. What rises is a primal fucking warrior. Someone who is in total personal accountability. Someone who takes life when they're brought to their knees and uses it to come into better integrity and embodiment of themselves. And now their energy might be polarizing, maybe, yes. But their energy might be polarizing, but their heart is blasted wide open. It's almost like your sacral chakra has been merged and integrated through your heart. And now the vision you have for your life and what you could create has been totally merged and orchestrated right through your heart. Right through your heart. And you have an internal softening and an external suffering. Now what happens here is you want other people to win. This is where abundance comes. You want other people to win. You want everyone to find love, to achieve their dreams. Even people that may have wronged you. Even people that may have wronged you, you want them to win. You don't hold on to that. The reason why people can't forgive is because they've never been able to forgive themselves. They've never been able to forgive themselves. What this means is in their body, they come up to that unworthiness inside of them and they project from there. They project from that unworthiness. In turn, they're never able to forgive maybe a parent that wronged them, maybe a partner that betrayed them. And what it's basically doing is you're holding on to a bomb that leads to an explosion inside of you. What you want is your ego wants to live in some sort of black and white, right and wrong. You want to be malicious. You want to hurt. You want to attack. But all it does is kill you. In your attempts to try to kill someone else, all you do is kill yourself. If you want to be able to forgive other people, it starts to being able to forgive yourself. What's happened in 2024 is your unworthiness has come to the surface. And what it said is, can you allow this to humble you? Can you allow your ego to be taken out so that your heart can literally merge with the higher self? So that your heart can literally merge with the higher self. And now you live in a new way of relating to the world and everything around you. There's a new way of relating to the world and everything around you. There's an openness. There's a lovingness. There's a softness and a transparency that comes. In this, you can handle exposure. There's nothing you're trying to hide because your deepest unworthiness has led to an internal softening. This is what lives in me. This is what grows in me. This is what I've learned to forgive myself. And I've brought myself to this place, and I've really bowed down, surrendered, and forgiven myself here. Now what happens is you move out in the world, you don't have that animosity. You don't have that chip on your shoulder. You're not trying to have power over other people, but you're trying to empower other people. Because you've empowered yourself truly, what you've done is you've actually freed yourself from death. You've freed yourself from death inside of yourself. What that means is that your unworthiness has come, and you have softened into it internally. And you have softened into it internally and dropped into yourself. And you've forgiven yourself. Now you carry an energy that you want to uplift and inspire. You want to uplift and inspire. And you can allow the light to be on you. And Spirit does this. So can you allow the light to be on you? And this is where you become worthy of that light. This is where you feel you're worthy of that light. And this is where you alchemize your wounds. This is where you alchemize your mistakes. This is where you alchemize your regrets. This is where you alchemize your shortcomings. And you take the grist of life's failures and shortcomings to alchemize a fire inside of you. That you can live as this transparent, radiant light, and you can allow everything to be on you. You can allow the eyes to be on you because you've forgiven yourself. And now this changes the way that you move in the world. You want others to be empowered, and there's a level of an empathy that lives inside of you that is also merged with your own boundaries. Your heart has been softened and blasted wide open. You're no longer guarded here because Spirit has taken you to the depths of yourself. Spirit has taken you to the depths of yourself. This portal we've been in, the deepest unworthiness that has come into your space is asking you, can you soften into yourself? Can you alchemize your deepest pain, your deepest wounds? And the reason why this keeps coming like an onion that keeps peeling itself back is because Spirit is trying to take us to the core root of it. The core root of the unworthiness and the blocks that we still hold over our heart. The ways that we don't allow other people in. The ways that we don't allow ourselves in. The ways that we can't comfort and hold up to our inner child and say, you're okay. I'm here for you now. Things are going to be different. I'm not fucking going anywhere. And this level of personal accountability and internal grace and softening into ourselves is what blasts our heart wide open. So that vision that you have for your life, maybe that vision for that relationship that you might have, that your heart can align with it. Your heart can align with it. This doesn't happen from tuning your fucking heart with a heart chakra frequency or placing a crystal over it or sitting in meditation or placing your fucking hand on your heart. This comes from meeting the shit inside of you. When you meet the shit inside of you and you sit in it, and you don't go anywhere. You let it boil over and you let it fucking kill you. And you sit in it. This will change the course of your life. This will change the course of your life. And the way that you show up for yourself, what will happen is there will be a frequency and a vibration that comes through you that is fucking ancient, that is otherworldly. We have this misconception that softening is weakness. Softening is actually where you get your resilience, and it is where you get your strength. Without the internal softening, you don't get the primal ferocity. You want to become the hero of your story? Drop your fucking sword. You want to become the hero or the heroine of your story? Drop your fucking sword and get on your knees. When you do this, Spirit will say that you are ready to be knighted. You are ready to be indoctrinated into this new space, into this new sphere, into this new orbit that is coming through you. You are being indoctrinated into this new space, but you have to drop your fucking sword and you got to get on your fucking knees. When you do this and you say, I'm not running from this. I'm not running from this unworthiness, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. Then you're building the rising of the phoenix. You're building the rising of the phoenix. We always think it's the end of times when really it's the beginning of times at a deeper depth of you that has never existed until now. When the unworthiness comes, maybe you have those suicidal ideations. Maybe you want to take yourself off the planet. I'm a piece of shit. The shame, the guilt, the self-sabotage, the internal aggression towards yourself. It's all asking, can you sit in it and let it drop you? And when you let it drop you, what we think is that we're losing all protection. We have to fight. We have to fight because it becomes a false sense of protection. And we actually realize releasing the protection, moving into a full revelation of exposure. Now what happens is God begins to protect us. We begin to fully align with God. And God's protection is what fully comes into our orbit. Now you're playing with a frequency that is so fucking pure. You're playing with the frequency that is so pure. It is directly aligned with spirit and it moves through your heart, unobstructed, uninterrupted, like a seamless flowing river that is moving down through your body. It moves through the cushy heart space that is softening and oozing wide open. Through an internal softening, internal surrender, can you be gentle with yourself? We hold these stories that I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. Maybe these are stories that come from our life, or maybe they're stories that come from sort of the ancestral contracts that have plagued the lineages generation after generation. But what happens is underneath these stories, Jamie, you're a piece of shit. Jamie, you're not worthy. Jamie, you're not worthy of your power. Jamie, you're not worthy of stepping into that. Jamie, you're not worthy of making a ton of fucking money. Whatever it might be, what lives under that is a lot of pain. It's a lot of grief. It's a lot of sadness. It's a lot of just hurt. Maybe it's something that was created in your life, or maybe it was something you inherited, but you're holding it. You're holding it. These words and these stories, they're protecting a tender underbelly of the hurt that lives inside of you. And when you let the stories drop, when you let the stories go, and you just you sit in the undercurrent of what's there. When you do that, now you're existing in a process of holy alchemy. Now you're existing in a process of, I will transmute my deepest pain and suffering into the alchemy of my rising, into the alchemy of my creation. And now what happens, you guys, is your heart merges with a primal energy inside of you. You're here to fuck shit up, but your heart is pounding and beating wide fucking open in the flesh. And it's undeniable. Your heart is pounding and beating wide open in the flesh. And it's merged with every cell and seam of your body. Your heart is pounding and beating through every cell and seam of your flesh and your DNA, and there's no part of it. There's no part of it that is not connected. And it took you dropping to your knees and saying that I will surrender. The way that we fight is we don't fight. The way that we fight is that we don't fight. And we say, yeah, I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this, and I'll drop in, and I'll drop in. And I'll just meet what's driving here, the wounds, the inner pain that hurts. And God is trying to take you to the purest frequency of your heart, how you relate to yourself, how you relate to others, how you relate to the world. Most importantly, how your heart is fused into your fucking mission. How your heart is fused into your mission. in whatever it is you do. Maybe you make fucking paper airplanes. I don't know. Whatever it is. But how is your heart fused in that mission? It doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean that you're a fucking guru. It doesn't mean that you're untouchable. It means that you've allowed your life to let it break you. You allow life to continuously let it break you. Hemingway said, life will hurt all of us. For those who, or he said, life will break all of us. For those who it doesn't break, it kills. So let's hope that life breaks us. Quoting Ernest Hemingway. Hope that life will break you. The most heart-centered people are not people who are pure and abstain from making mistakes or being out of integrity. They're how do people show up when the unworthiness of their own failures and shortcomings, what happens inside of them? What's the transmission that comes? This is how your heart opens and excavates. Imagine like a pressure washer from God's hand that's pressure washed your heart and opening your heart at the deepest layers. When you engage in this, you become untouchable. When you engage in this process, you can literally hold wide open your deepest exposure because it's how that you engage with your life. And it's how you engage with the alchemy of your life. This is where shit can happen in your life and you can move it through your body so fucking fast. You can move it through your body so fucking fast. And you're not avoiding it, but you're integrating it at speeds that are aligned with the divine. It's like you're a fighter jet for this sort of divine integration of your heart chakra. And when you do this, your heart opens and it opens and it opens and it opens deeper, deeper, deeper. And then it merges with like a spear or a primal roar of the lion or the lioness. And it merges with this ferocity, this healthily embodied swagger inside of you. But your heart's so fucking open. And you want other people to win because you've allowed a softening inside of you. We live in judgment of other people because we're in judgment of ourselves. What judgment is doing is it's trying to cover up that you feel fucking unworthy. Judgment is trying to cover up that you feel fucking unworthy. This is why we write people off. I could never write someone off because of the shit that I've had to face inside of myself. Human beings look at life in black and white. It's judgment. It's casting judgment. Human beings and the life is formed in the gray and nuance, in context. I hate black and white thinking. Life lives in the gray. It lives in the nuance. If we look at life in black and white, we do not have a trauma understanding of the pain that we carry in trauma, and our heart opens in the gray. Black and white is polarizing. It's blocked heart. The gray is a nuance. We allow full context to the human experience. Reveal yourself to me. Show me you. Tell me your fucking story. Tell me what you've been through. And now tell me, how do you learn to show up for that? How do you show up for that story? How do you let the pain of what you've been through? It's when we try to hurt from our pain and we get malicious and we attack. We hold on to a disease inside of us. We're not in the highest intention of God and source. Tell me your story. Reveal the full nuance and the gray of who you are and everything that you've been through. People make mistakes. This is cancel culture. People write them off. And sure, there's some things that people do maybe are irredeemable. But what happens, we don't allow the gray of the context of the human condition and the messiness of it. Because what happens in the gray is where grace comes. In the gray is where grace comes. Black and white is fucking ignorance. Black and white is fucking ignorance. The gray is where grace comes. What it means when someone can live in the gray is that they've allowed themselves to be graceful with themselves. They've allowed themselves to be graceful with their pain. They've allowed themselves to open up the door and the window to all the wounding and all their pain. And they have not run, they have not projected, but they've sat there. They've sat there in ceremony with their pain. And they've said, I'm not going anywhere. I am not running. Now they can live in the gray with them and the grace. What happens is we live in this where we allow the humanity to break through inside of ourselves and other people. This is where transformation, this is where the heart chakra becomes alchemized. You can hold the full spectrum, every shade and every color of the human condition and the human experience. And it's about the gray that is opened inside of you through your grace. And what it says is, can you surrender to your unworthiness and learn to be gentle with yourself? God is trying to get you to look at yourself in a different way. Can you reference yourself in a different way? Can you look at yourself in a different way? Can you hold yourself in a different way? Can you show up for yourself in a different way? And when you sit there long enough, usually we don't allow ourselves to sit there long enough so the gold can't be revealed. But when you sit there long enough, the magic starts to come. The light starts to break through. The alchemy comes from the pain that we saw with utter hopelessness and despair. Now there's a glimmer of hopefulness and renewal and rebirth that comes. And there's something promising that starts to break on the horizon. And it's even better than whence we came before. We always anticipate. We anticipate. When you let go of anticipation, and when you remove the anticipation and you just live in the experience of it, usually what you find is what you anticipated was not accurate. Catastrophic thinking, fear. When you live in the anticipation, you never allow yourself to go to the place that you need to go. Because we anticipate in such a way that it's this sensory experience that is inflamed from fear. And so when we let ourselves just drop into it, we're like, this is different than I thought it would be. It's way more liberating than I thought it would be. It happens really fast. It happens really fucking fast. It happens really fast. And what it entails is that we listen. Can you listen? When God speaks, can you just fucking listen? Can you sit there and listen? Can you be humbled and can you just receive? Can you just receive? It requires you to sit, to allow the dark to come over you like a blanket that feels like it's embedded with demons that eventually passes. And the fruits are bared. The soil is renewed. The vegetables grow from underneath the earth, and there's something you never expected. It's something deeper, more pure and raw that actually feels safe. It actually feels safe in a way that you've never experienced. It feels like the safest thing that you've ever experienced. You're like, what was I afraid of? What was I anticipating? I was anticipating. I was afraid of my heart being that open. But what happens when you show up for yourself in this way? You create safety at a new level. So what you feared and what you anticipated, you have created this for yourself. You have created a new level of safety inside of yourself. You have created that. And so you can hold it, and Spirit says you're ready to come more into union. You're ready to move more into your dharma, the integrity in which you hold your gifts and you embody your gifts and you move through the world, and how you fucking move through the world. There's more purity. Your offering that you give and the ways that you can be of service are more transformational. Whatever you do it better and you do it deeper. And it feels better in where it's coming. That's important. It feels better in where it's coming. When we talk about mission and dharma, we must ask ourselves, where does it feel like it's coming from? Because when it comes from a place, when our heart has been blasted open, there's a purity that comes through us where it feels fucking revolutionary. And it feels so with an integrity because where our heart has had to be taken. And maybe you struggled, you guys. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've had things you've done that you're not proud of. Maybe you've had different unworthiness that is being brought up. It's all here in service of opening your heart. And maybe what you've been through, Spirit is asking of something of you that he or she wants your heart to be this fucking open for a reason, because there's something you're here to bring. And your heart has to be open for this reason, because there's something you're here to bring. So maybe the unworthiness that you've had to sit with, the amount of shame, the guilt, the personal antagonization that you've been forced to face inside of yourself, Spirit is guiding you into an internal softening so your heart can be revealed. So your heart can be revealed because of what you're here to do. Your heart is being revealed because of what you're here to do. When you trust that, everything changes shape. What it means is sitting in that pain that hurts and sitting in that unworthiness, it now becomes a sermon. It now becomes a pilgrimage. It now becomes a right of responsibility, that you have a duty to sit here in what you're supposed to do so your heart can open in such a way so you can create and embody what you're here to fucking do and be the person that you're meant to be. This is the great tragedy among humans. We don't let our heart get this open. And so we live in regret and resentment. This is where you alchemize life's pain like that. This is where you're able to sit with that unworthiness. And it becomes grist for the alchemy of transformation, for opening your heart, because you allow the unworthiness to humble you, to soften you, to bring you down. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to match vibrationally your heart with your other energy centers, with your chakras. It's trying to harmonize and bring you into balance. You can think about it like your womb and your heart, or your cock and your heart are constantly moving through levels of integration so that you can move into a space where they can exist in harmony, where your power can move with an open heart, where your power can move with a fierce open heart, where you bring other people in, you empower other people, you inspire other people, you call other people forward, you call yourself forward, and it becomes a power with rather than a power over. What happens is we want power over when we live in judgment of ourselves and judgment of others. That's why scarcity consumes your fucking life. That's why you can't make the money that you want. Because you're living power over in a domination internally within yourself that's creating an internal severing. Rather than moving as a holy, holistic channel, you're creating an internal severing. You're cutting yourself internally. In turn, you're cutting others. You're diluting and diffusing your frequency of abundance that is trying to come through. So when you allow the softening to happen and you allow your heart to holistically be integrated and moved and purified between your womb and your cock, now what's happening is your power, a healthy discernment of your ego and your gifts and abilities can move with an open heart to give this gift and to be of service with this gift. I do this wholly and wholly. I do it lovingly. I know I am worthy, and I'm worthy in a place that has come from my own internal tenderness. I'm not worthy in a place, I'm the fucking guru, but I'm worthy in a place I have something to offer from my embodiment, from the soul and depths of my spirit. And it happens when you go to the unworthiness. You take personal accountability. You soften, you surrender, you show up with grace inside of yourself. Now what happens is the shame disappears. Shame lives when we're having something we're trying to protect in our heart. Shame lives when we have something we're trying to protect in our heart. And maybe it's the revelation that we're wounded, that we're flawed, and we always will be. We always will be. But the way that you alchemize the woundedness and the flawedness is when you allow the light to come to the dark and you realize the dark wasn't really dark at all. It was really your light that was shy, or it was your light that was living in the shadows. It was living in holding. And it all had to do with your relationship to it, your anticipation of it, your fear of it. When you shine the light there and you release it, the shame and guilt goes away. And now you feel worthy from the depths of your toes and your soul, deep in the center of your earth. Now you can move into a level of exposure with the purity of your heart chakra and your vessel that has never existed before for you or your family line. You have nothing you're hiding. You're moving from this pure, authentic vibration of your spirit. And the world had to break you to get here. You had to allow the world to break you. You had to allow the world to break you. The world kills those who don't allow themselves to break. The world kills those who don't allow themselves to break, who are not able to allow themselves to break. In turn, in doing that, you alchemize your unworthiness. And it becomes heart-centered connectedness in your body and your spirit. And it changes your life. You forgive yourself. You forgive yourself and you build this innate capacity for forgiveness of other people. I don't want to hold on to this. I want everyone to win. And now what happens is the human realm of whatever it is here, you can hold a higher frequency and vibration that you don't lose sight of. You can hold the godly intention up here. You can hold the godly intention and it begins to merge and come closer. Where the human self and the holy self begin to merge in matters of the heart. And you forgive yourself. You guys realize forgiveness is where abundance is born? Forgiveness is where abundance is born, because when we can't forgive, what we're trying to do is we're trying to change and course correct the past. When we can't forgive, we're living in some form of trying to change, course correct the past. And when we're living in the past, we're not present for the creation of the future. This is what happens when we can forgive ourselves. Now we move into a space where we can finally actually create. We can open our spirit to the creation. We can actually move into the abundance of our full potential and capability because we're trying to change. We're looking back when everything's forward. We're not present. We're not present to what's trying to break through, to what's trying to fucking come in our life. And so when you forgive, when you soften internally inside of yourself, you move into abundance and forgiveness. And the scarcity dissipates. Scarcity lives because you're holding your pain hostage from shame and guilt. You're not actually allowing yourself to go there, to reveal there, to say, that's why scarcity is so aligned with unworthiness. There's something inside of you that you don't allow just to come and let it transmute and let it alchemize, and everything would change. Your financial situation would change. The relationships in your life would change. Who you would call into your life, what you would create, everything would shift. If you just sat with it, if you just sat with it long enough, you just sat with what was there and said, I'm going to sit with, I'm going to alchemize, and I'm going to allow myself to rise from here. I'm going to allow myself to arise and be empowered from this. And now the rising and the empowerment that comes is more holistically integrated with God. It's more embodied with the frequency of Source and the Holy Spirit. You're more with an integrity of truth. You're living less in projection. You're living less in inflation and more in integration with yourself. You're less in power over and domination and polarization, but you're more power with, let me rise and let others rise with me. Let's create a mutual rising. Let's allow it to be empowered. When you do power with, what it means is you're no longer having a power over domination inside of yourself through a steep inner critic and internal self antagonization. You're power with, you're with yourself. You're with your unworthiness. You're with your heart. It's where abundance comes, where creation comes. It's where forgiveness is born. And this is where your heart opens directly to God. And what you do from this point forward is in the purest expression and vibration and creation with your heart, and how it merges with the rest of your flesh so that you can create and embody exactly who you need to be to do what you need to do and do it the right way so it feels good in your soul. It feels true in your spirit. And you truly are doing it from a place that you want there to be a rising that happens. You don't want winners and losers. You want everyone to allow themselves to win. And because of what you've created inside of yourself, there's space for all of it. There's space for everyone. All right, everyone. Okay, everyone, that was a good way to end the year, the new year, 2024. This is the end. So I appreciate those of you who came and watched this transmission, this sermon, whatever you want to call it. We're present to this. Again, if you guys like this, please give this video a like, send it to a friend who might need to hear this message moving into the new year and moving into the holiday season. If you guys haven't already, I would really appreciate if you guys subscribe to my channel, as we're going to move into a lot more content like this that is coming. And so I appreciate, all you guys' presence and attention, and for being here for this today, and sending everyone a lot of love heading into 2025. Again, this is the last YouTube Live until the new year. We will be back with YouTube Lives the second week of January. So we'll be back with lives beginning the week of January 6th. So no lives next week, no lives the week after. I'm definitely going to drop probably a few YouTube videos over the holidays, but this is the last live. So thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you the second week of January. Hope everyone has a great rest of the year.